So we're going to get started. It is 6:39. Welcome everybody to our March board meeting. This is Marissa Caravellis, the new secretary. This is my first meeting, so be aware.
I'll be gracious. I'll be gracious.
I have a lot to learn from our former secretary, who made everything look very easy, but there's a lot to it. Okay, so we're going to go over the meeting agenda tonight. And so we've got always time for public comment, which we'll get into here in a little bit. And we do have a couple, approving our last February board meeting minutes, as well as extending our new treasurer as well, Mr. AJ.
Extending mine. It's like a
You were-
trial.
You were up for
We don't mind that goal.
a renewal until 2027.
Don't say the year.
So,
Oh,
Just
A little
keep that going on the down low.
or
No,
one
I'm just
more
kidding.
year.
Yeah, just a few more years.
And then we will go into our administration team's report. We've got some operational updates, building facility updates, update on Big Rock school goals. I guess we do not have a vote today, but that's going to be kicked to a special
Probably
session.
special called meeting. It
Yep.
has to be due by April 1st, but we can't schedule it yet because OCPS hasn't released it.
That'll be via Zoom.
Yeah.
And then we'll have a finance update from AJ. I have a email to read from Sarah. She can't make it tonight on a PTO update. And then we'll go into any review of our board goals and progress. And then our committee updates. Stacy will close us out, and that is the agenda tonight. Did I miss anything? No? Okay, let me just make sure there's no one waiting. All right, so should we go into public comment or review the, okay, so next is the public comment. So if you would like to make a statement, I don't think we have anyone in the room, but anyone out there on Zoom, if you want to message us in the chat, if you'd like to have your public comment, it usually needs to be around the agenda that we're just went through, and you are limited to 3 minutes. So we'll just give it a few minutes here to see if anybody has a desire to state anything as public comment.
That's out here.
So you know you have a school mascot out there?
There's a kitty under the picnic table.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
He's cute.
Does he have a
Just
comment?
adding to the list. It's fine. I wonder if I can get FTE for him.
Yeah.
He's not on payroll.
Yeah.
Like the little benches.
All right, let's see, I'm not seeing anybody. Oh, we just have an FYI from Miss Cindy. Our seniors and graduates have now been accepted to 34 colleges and universities around the world. Excellent.
Congratulations.
Yay. How many seniors do we have?
I think probably 30 some.
So basically,
Mhm.
oh, 32.
Yeah.
There we go.
Almost said 33.
Is adding 1,000 or what?
Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing, Cindy. All right, I'm not seeing anybody else. So I guess we will move towards reviewing our meeting minutes from February. They should be in board docs. Hopefully you guys had a chance to look at them. If not, they're right there.
I didn't see anything that needed added. They were very thorough.
6, so
I typed them, so.
Yeah.
All
All
right.
right, motion to approve the minute.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kate.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries, minutes approved.
All right, thank you. Our next vote is to extend AJ's term, which, sorry, you didn't realize was up tonight. And so I guess you're up for the 3-year.
I know, yeah. I will make a motion to extend AJ's term, the next 3 years.
I'll second that motion.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, any opposed?
Good having you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so then that we are moving right along tonight. That'll move us to our administration team's report. So Heather, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, perfect. So we'll start with operations. And hopefully you got a chance to read my notes that I sent, and then I thought I'd uploaded them, but I guess I didn't, so I just did. Solar panels, they're all up and running. We have downloaded the app. Stephen is working it for me to have it on a computer so we can have not just myself monitoring, that a couple people can. We do need to talk about the sunflower. So he reached out and said they replaced the battery in the sunflower, but then realized it was the inverter that is bad. And you can see the quotes there is for a little over $2,200. So I wrote him back and said, what benefit would we get from fixing the sunflower? And so I'm just gonna kind of read what he said. The goal of the sunflower in the first place was just to be an educational product for students. Even though the solar isn't powering the sunflower with the inverter down, it is connected to the grid, which is powering it. So ultimately, instead of the sunflower offsetting its own energy usage or any other usage, it's pulling a bit from the grid to operate it. So,
It's opening up and coming on.
Yes.
Yeah, I
saw
saw it.
earlier.
so I guess it's pulling from the grid to be able to do that. So it comes down to, do we want to pay the $2,200 to have it fixed?
I wonder if there's a grant for that.
Yeah, well,
would
that
like
could
to
be.
know
But even if
Like
it's,
they-
Yeah.
so even if it's fixed, it's not generating
No.
any electricity for the school.
No,
Okay.
the way he talked, it was just an educational thing to show kids that
But it
They
would
threw it
generate
in.
enough to offset the 2,200 over some period of time.
he didn't indicate that when I asked him, because that's what
But
I
if
said,
that's
what
not
would
the
be the
case, then you
benefit?
should just turn it off. Like,
Yeah.
it's costing
Right,
money, like,
yeah.
Yeah, then what's the
Then
point
you've
of it?
got this big expensive things that now that's costing.
Until we are in a place where we can have a little bit of extra and fix
Right.
it.
Okay, that was my thought, but I wanted to get
Yeah.
your all's opinion on it. I
Yeah.
just feel like right now we,
We should wait.
yeah.
Like a
So-
hold item.
Do you have an idea on what the benefit we're gonna see from having these back up and running?
No, you can go back and look what it was a year or so ago when it was running, and
Yeah.
you actually would see quite a few $100s a month. But he said it would take a month or two before we would see a benefit cost savings. So
Was
They
it
just-
was it ever at a place where it covered the monthly payment for the
No.
panels themselves? So it was never generating enough?
Oh,
for the
Yes,
panels,
the
yes,
panels.
it
What we
was.
pay
Yes, I
to
thought
see
you
the
meant
thing,
to
right?
pay for all of our,
No, but
Yes.
to at least cover what we're paying on our
yes.
payments.
Yeah, I think when we first received it and they were all up and operating, it at least paid for the
Yeah.
$1,600 that we pay a month. Yeah.
when is
So,
that bill done? When are we paid off? You know, what do we have left on it?
I have that on my notebook. We owe
Wait, wait.
23,000, I think, on it total still. So,
1,600 a month.
yeah,
How much do we?
it's $1,600 a month
So it's just what we
and,
owe?
No, that's what, 20,000.
20,000.
yeah. 16,
Yeah, so
I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah, we owe right around
Interest we're paying.
$23,000 on it still. So I don't know the date, like how far out that is, but yeah, yeah,
That's probably a couple of years.
yeah.
2, but it should be paid off in two roughly, right? I mean, because it's 19.
We pay some
19,000.
amount of interest on it,
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
sure, so
Sure,
it's,
but yeah.
Yeah,
but it's.
Okay.
2 to
So we
3
can-
years.
yeah, that's good to know.
What's the monthly savings on it that you think we'll see? Is it just a couple hundred?
Well,
Just curious, like, why we
before,
never noticed it was like somebody.
well,
didn't
no,
pick up
I
on the
think
fact that it
I
was
can't believe we didn't, because I think it was enough
shocked.
to offset the payment.
It's
but-
16, you heard all of a sudden your electric bill's $1,600 a month higher than what you were paying,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
Mhm.
so I'm anxious to see what that's gonna be. Cause I mean, it cost us a few $1,000s to fix it, probably about 5,000
yeah.
to fix it, but it's gonna be worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's no
that-
need for them to be out there if we're not going to use it.
Yeah, that's one.
So. Soccer field, I sent all of my documentation to dispute the $6,300 bill. I had pictures, I had texts that were saved to talk about that, there was already some faulty wiring, and I've heard nothing. So I'm like, well, the ball's in their court now. I've sent it on. I've just asked for proof. Other than the picture with the boots around it, I said, okay, this doesn't even look like ours, but here's all the reasons why I don't think, and you acted on our behalf before you gave us a quote. And so they haven't responded. So I'm just gonna let them see. It's fixed.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that
That
was
was my question.
No, they,
I was like, well, let's not wait too long.
no, it's
Let's
fixed.
put this on the chain up. Okay,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
all
No,
right,
they,
okay.
had fixed it before they even told us what it cost to fix.
And this has to do with irrigation, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yes, so it, it's
Thank you.
fixed. And hopefully it doesn't go out again, but
Okay.
yeah, it's
It
that
must be that
little
upper
hot.
yeah, in the back spot there, sorry.
That's okay. Big rocks. So I had my first coffee with the director last week. I felt like it went really well. Seemed to have great feedback. Not everybody that signed up came, but we had around 15 for this campus and then 5 at the high school. But I felt like it was like beneficial that they got to know me and I got to kind of hear what their needs, especially around communication and some ideas that I'm going to work with our admin and Stephen on about. One of the things is all of the information that comes out from this campus, it can kind of be overwhelming, but to possibly go back to videos at one time that they had put out, the students did. So, how we put out that Wednesday update, that we do that on a video maybe once a week so parents could listen to it when they're in the car and those kind of things. So we'll work through that. And if we don't get it up and running this year, it will definitely be next year for that. So I felt like it was, pretty beneficial to get to meet with parents. And then I linked our action plan. So I won't read all of that to you all, but did you have any questions for that? Like things that we had updates on?
So you're just updating the columns for each month? I'm just trying to
Yeah,
make
and
sure
then
I
if you see the
understand
progress notes at the bottom.
How to like read what's actually
yeah.
updated, and it was me struggling a little
I'm
bit
sorry.
with
Oh,
just the Excel.
yeah, no,
I'm
that's
like,
fine. So if you go under the tab, high quality instruction.
Yeah,
You can kind of see there where we're at, like on closing the gap. And so March, of course, we're not finished with, so, the only thing we put that was due to budget, but what we're working on now, actually, we already have one group that's gonna present tomorrow that went from the high school campus, but to meet, they'll come back and share the things that they learned at that campus that would help around closing the gap and or MTSS, those kind of things. So some of the things we've already identified that we've got to really buckle down through the summer and work on is MTSS. That's still a struggle for us. And how do we meet the needs of all of our students and still maintain the rigor that we need in the classrooms? So we had our admin meeting last week and kind of talked through that. And it's been kind of difficult. Nicole has done a phenomenal job, but she's trying to do 2 roles, an AP role and that, and what does that look like? And then where do we get that coaching piece in? So that is something that's definitely on all of our radars, and that we're going to really have to sit down and come up with a detailed plan on that coaching piece around curriculum. did meet, I got to attend, and I know Kathy will probably talk about it. I don't think Jared will be on here, but got to attend the public school portion on Thursday of the Montessori conference. It was great meeting a lot of other leaders, around the public side of things. But I met with someone from the National Montessori group that was working on a pacing guide and curriculum standards for the new standards to merge
Good.
those two. So when I talked to her, she was like, yes, we have those. And so I had asked Jared, they had a booth to go and meet with them, but she indicated to him it would be probably a year before they have them completely finished. But I would love to take what they already have and kind of build up on that, with the new standards and then our Montessori standards. So that is definitely a focus, that the admin and I are talking through to say, okay, what does that look like? So that's kind of our instructional piece. School safety, if you know, through there, a lot of that is around the MTSS behavior. Did have someone to come in and work with our secondary staff on autism and behaviors. And so that is now being pushed over to the IMO campus as well. So for that training. And then we'll start the student survey, working with the social workers on getting, it appears that we put the panorama in the mental health grant. So we're getting a quote to see what it would cost just for the student portion. And then look at next year of what can we use that's less expensive, but still beneficial. And then gonna work with the social workers. If we're gonna do this, then we're gonna actually use the data other than just reading it and giving it to staff, is how do we start doing groups and those kind of things. And then, of course, the middle school transition. And it was, that was the one thing I got from the middle school or the high school directors meeting with the parents was over that transition and how do we continue to expand that. So that was some communication there too, of some ideas for that. Human resource, poor Alicia, it's all over the place, and we've almost gotten to the point she was like, I haven't even got to update. We are working through everything. So, of course, retirement, that is, working through that and making sure that's up and running. And AJ has become my new best friend. So he's been really coaching me through that part of it. Hopefully my goal is by April still, talk to Alicia today, that we're gonna come to you with job descriptions, salary schedule, and, contracts, like what that form would look like, so I can have that to staff 1st of May. So I'm hoping by the next board meeting, I'll have that for you to review. So that's kind of where we are with that. And then communication, same thing. Website is finished. The high school website was merged. So now at this point, it's just about making it better. So all of the content that legally has to be there is there. And so now it's just making that part better. And then, again, just talking about the parent education piece. Stephen and I still are gonna try to work on the parent video. It won't be to the depth that I had hoped with that whole task force, but more of like a welcome video using what you all seen on board presentations from students. And then from staff talking about all of the great things for IMO, so we can get that on the website. So that's still a goal to have by the end of the school year for that. So that's kind of our big rocks, all the things that we've been working on.
The only thing I had a quick question about is I know we had some energy behind those community agreements at one point and the wordsmithing and the conversations around all of that. Is
Yes.
that anything that we want to?
Yes, we
Kind of
probably need to
revisit
bring
them?
that in, and I apologize for that. I know Lachey and Eileen were big people or big proponents of that, but I think they're finished. And so I need to just get that to you.
Yeah,
all, and
I just saw
apologize.
it said final wordsmithing workshop completed. So
Yeah.
it looked like they may have. been
Yeah, so I
for
need to
process.
do that, and I apologize for
Okay.
that. So we
Pretty
need
good too.
to, I'll get with Eileen and see if we can get that on the agenda for next month.
Right.
I know
Okay.
she's on here, so I'm sure she can hear me. But that's finished.
Great.
Okay, and then primary renovations. So the company has received our initial money and they are working on the space study. They did say their architect was out last week, that we should have something soon to schedule a meeting to review that. Playing phone tag with UMB, Patrick Teague, to discuss the construction money. So I guess he was out for a week and then he called me today. I called him back and left another voicemail. So I just want to make sure that everything is clear with that. I don't see why it wouldn't be, but I want to make sure that we can roll on with that as well. So I'm hoping the way she talked with the construction company that it should be this month that she'll be able to schedule that meeting. So hopefully we'll have that. So that's really an update from us. So I think Kathy is on here. So Kathy, is there anything that you would like to share? I know you want to talk about the Montessori training, so I'll let you take that.
Okay, so the conference, we had a great time. Thanks to everyone on staff for getting all the campuses ready and classrooms ready for the tour. It was absolutely wonderful. We had 52 Montessorians from around the world. We had actually a principal from a Montessori school in downtown Sydney, Australia, donate 2 books on Australian wildlife to our program, which was so lovely. Like, who thinks to do that? And they were absolutely amazed walking through classrooms. It was funny. I was telling them even, about the multi-purpose room classrooms and how they weren't all that we, want them to be. And those were the first 2 that I walked my group in. Eileen and I split them up into 2 groups, and I brought my group into the multi-purpose room first. And honestly, everyone's jaws were almost on the ground, and they were saying, "Oh my gosh, who would complain about being in this space? This space is beautiful." And then they just continued to be more and more impressed everywhere we went. So yeah, it was really lovely to see. And it's funny, it's a different vibe than a parent tour because these people go straight to the shelves. They are, they're not, they know the classroom's going to be beautiful. They go straight for the material, straight for the shelves. So it was wonderful. It was wonderful. And what was really very validating was that I see Deborah is on here. Deborah was at the conference. Tatiana and a few more who were at the conference. Rachel were saying to me that anytime they wore something that identified themselves as part of Innovation Montessori for the rest of the weekend, they were besieged by people who had come on the tour, who were absolutely raving about our school. Like, it's very impressive. And it's a lovely reminder of, though I know, parents are impressed when they come on the tour every week, to have 52 seasoned and experienced Montessorians come through your school with their jaws dropped. It's a whole other kettle of fish. So it was very validating, as I said. It was really great. And then the teachers all seemed to get great benefit out of the programs and the workshops that they attended at the conference, and came back on fire to share, as Heather said, tomorrow afternoon, our elementary and primary teachers who went will be presenting all they learned to our elementary and primary teachers, and then middle school, or I think high school, has got that going on over at their campus as well. So a very, very successful few days. And thanks to everyone who donated to help us send a couple extra teachers than we might otherwise have been able to. That was great. And we look forward to being so rolling around in cash the next time that the conference comes to Orlando, that the whole board, everyone goes, all the teachers, the board, we bring all the parents, everyone goes. Yeah. So anyway, it worked out great. It worked out great. So that's really all the news I have for you. We've been very conference focused.
And I have to kind of brag on them over here. So today I had my team lead meeting and I walked in and Kathy is the nurse. All the time these are the nurse. So, I know we get fixated on a lot of other things, but we are so fortunate to also have our admin team. Because I've never heard them say, no, we can't do that. Or, unless we're trying to do something that goes away from the Montessori way of things. But overall, like, they have been so busy as well. And so I just have to also commend them for doing a phenomenal job. Every time I come up with a crazy idea or we have a meeting, they're like, okay, we'll do it, and like I said, today, I just looked at Kathy, I'm like, you're the jack of all trades, like she is administering medication. So it's just things like that, we are so fortunate to have. And that's also at the high school campus. If I need something, they're right there. So I think we need to take a moment just to kind of celebrate them as well, because we always brag on our staff, but we kind of leave out our admin sometimes. So great job. Jared is not here. He had another appointment, but I know he's busy doing all the things as well. So he and I have been meeting about different topics, instruction, those kind of things. And then I think Cindy did a shout out at the beginning that we've already had 34 college application or acceptance letters for our students out of 32 graduates. So that's been great. I know they're looking at all of the EOC testing, all of those different types of testings have been happening this week and last week. So constantly getting slacked up. Can you send this kid down? It's ready for their testing kind of thing. So everybody's working really hard before spring break. So excited about that. So that's kind of all we have for operational. I know it doesn't look like much, but I swear we've been busy. So for that, and I know AJ will talk a little bit about the finance side of things and kind of where we are with that, and then also the retirement. I will add though for that, just so you all kind of know where we're at. I've been working with Dana on the next year's budget. So we've been building it. I've asked all of the team leads and our admin to go ahead and start filling out all of their have to have for materials, all of those kind of things. And then what we would like to have, so we can have that to sit down and budget. And then I've asked Tito to do the same thing of things that that may be upcoming that has to be fixed, so that we can kind of go on with a clear picture. On the other side, Alicia is working through putting all of the employees in salaries. So then what we'll do is put everything in and then talk about what we have to shift for that. So again, the goal is by April that you have a set budget for next school year for that. So that's all we have.
All right, so AJ, I guess I'll turn it over to you for the finance update.
And we said we're holding the vote until the special topic.
Yes,
meeting, just to
yes,
reiterate
yes.
that for
Yep.
everyone's.
Yes, just so you know,
There.
like for that, they had talked about it for a couple weeks. I had written, got everything ready. There was a policy that we had to have written, so found some pieces of that, was putting that together, and then got an email on Friday that said, hold up, OCPS has to make changes. When I questioned, could we go ahead and approve, if it's minor changes, approve what we have? She said no, that they would look at the date that when it came out. And then I told her our board meeting was today, and she said, well, you may have to call a special meeting. So I apologize
Is
for
it a
that.
new policy?
This
Something
is an
changing?
update.
Yeah,
for-
it's all the new requirements that we have to have. So you've done it every year,
Yeah.
but now there's a lot more in it.
Okay.
So there's,
We
it's
usually
the
do that at
procedure.
in the summertime, right, before the school year starts?
Like in the early-
Yeah, I
They
think
had
it
some
started the
update here.
last year, you had to have it done by April 1st, but it was very basic,
Maybe.
and now it's like
Oh,
8
okay.
pages, and then you have to have a specific policy for what you're gonna do for SROs whenever kids are on campus.
That's the big change.
Yes,
Having to have an SRO on
Yeah.
campus whenever there's like on the
Yeah.
weekends or something like that.
yeah, anytime, well, here's how vague it is, and so we have to determine as a group, in hopes that the policy is accepted, is we know when school's in session, we know summer school, but it's saying before and after school, and then it's also saying, the plan for extracurricular activities and, any type of parent event, but then it has a little thing of depending on the ratio of adults to students. So I think we have to decide what's our limit gonna be of when do we have to have a SRO on campus.
And I wonder if there's a total maximum or minimum number there as well.
Yeah.
You know, like if we've got 15 people here, do you
Right.
have to have an SRO here?
I think we can decide that because I've looked at the new
Yeah.
law and it doesn't say, it
Right.
just says that you decide what that looks like. Now, the policy that was put into our safe schools thing last year was very, very vague. It just said you would have an SRO during summer activity
Instructional.
and summer.
Mhm.
And then as needed, but then what requires now looks like you have to have that detailed out or they'll kick it back.
Yeah.
So, and it looks like I found on some old files that that in-depth policy was started. That Arnold Law Firm had maybe gave us some feedback, but then I cannot find that it was approved anywhere. And so I went back through all of the minutes the last year and it hadn't been. So I think it started
Yeah.
and then it never finished. So, but it's not officially due to April 1st. So we'll get it.
And they don't have, so like your public schools,
Mm-hmm.
do they have the same plan? Can we not adopt or like look at what
What
they
they have.
have?
I've asked if they have a
Like a
sample
guidance,
policy. I
yeah.
haven't received that yet, but I've asked if like, hey, do you have like a sample
Yeah.
policy? And so the only one that I'm working off of is what Arnold Law Firm sent last year.
Because that's supposed to be posted, right? Wouldn't it have to be posted on the website? So if
Yeah.
we go to any of the local schools,
Yeah,
theoretically, we should be able to find
Yeah.
it on the website.
I think the problem is though, none of them are up there yet because I've looked, because
Yeah,
it's not due to April 1st.
yeah,
Does Arnold Law Firm have any,
Well, that's
Any
the one
guidance
I'm
on
working
that?
just the
on.
one.
but any new guidance
Oh,
on?
no, I haven't reached out. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I did find an error on the bill. That wasn't our school.
Yeah.
There was a bill for, and I'm like, wait a minute, I asked the principals, who called? Did you guys?
No, but they usually would reach out when there's like big policy changes like this to
Yeah,
all
they
their
do.
clients and say, hey,
They
here's
do.
what's happening.
Yeah,
We'll give you some guidance and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So I don't know if there's like a freebie or.
freebie. I've not found a
At
freebie
least,
yet, but if I can, I will.
15-minute billable instead of an hour, but.
Yeah, even that is like $200.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know, like, if we had to have additional SRO, presence on campus, is that, can we do that with the city of Ocoee or what it would cost? Like,
Well, we did last summer.
if
And
we had
so
to have like before and after.
after school, I have
like,
not
we
reached
have
out to them and I don't
extended
even
hours
know
with
if they would have that, I could
Yeah.
ask them. They have been phenomenal though,
Yeah.
like they are here anytime our regular ones are out, they're
Yeah.
here. The policy reads, it's twofold. One says 30 minutes before and 30 minutes after school starts. But then it says any before or after school care. And so, but you're like, okay, before school, that's only 30 minutes extra, but how many kids do I really have here? It's not as much as after school, but then who can we find to stay till 6 o'clock?
Yeah.
And then is that necessary? I don't know. So that's what we have to figure out.
And then coverage for like weekend events, so like spring fests and
Yeah.
things like that we would have
Right.
presence there.
That would seem one that would be likely where if you had a kids to adult ratio,
Yeah.
that we would be,
Okay.
have more than enough adults.
Yeah,
like,
that
over
to me
there,
seems
but-
like maybe there
Yeah.
is an opportunity to have an SRO at an event like that, but that
Yeah.
size.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think we're just gonna have to look at,
Yeah.
and see what we come up with.
So we got a couple of things on the chat.
Okay.
Sorry, AJ, before we kick it to you. So Cindy wanted to mention the lottery.
Okay.
It's March 26th.
Oh, okay, perfect.
And then also there was a participant saying that they would be happy to help with the video if the
Oh, great.
admin team needed parent
would be great.
volunteers.
Reach out to Heather.
Yes.
Yeah, tell them
So,
to email me.
yeah, Amanda, you hear that? Please reach out to Heather with your skill set to help with the video. She would love that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I was gonna say, actually,
Yeah.
he and I already talked, so definitely, he's already on my list. Her husband.
Oh, I was like, I was like, okay.
Yeah, Amanda, he's already on my list, don't worry.
Amanda's-
Yeah, he and I, we even talked at the art fair again.
Perfect. You might talk to him more than I do, so that's great.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm just making sure if there's anything else we missed. Wordsmith group confirmed they're finished. Okay, I think that's everything.
all right.
Okay.
And enabling screen sharing.
Oh, okay. Yes.
She's like, all the things.
All the things are happening tonight. Let me find you, AJ.
So you can go to,
Yeah, I think I have to make you a host the way it's set up. Make co-host. All right, let me know if you can see the button now. Cool.
all right. So from a finance perspective, usually 2 to 3 weeks in, we'll get our financials for the previous month. So we should have those any day for February from Building Hope. You know, we went through the January financials and I'll show you the January P and L, which shows positive cash flow, but the big thing we were up against this year was a lot of the data coding and, from a accounts payable standpoint. And so there were hundreds and hundreds of transactions. It's not a knock, it's just we changed systems. And so when we changed systems, all that coding had to be redone. And so if you look at our budgets, if you just look at it year to date through January, it shows off, but it's just transactions that just aren't coded generally where they should be.
Or differently from how they were.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So exactly. So it's not necessarily nothing's wrong. It's just two different systems, right? So from that standpoint, you know, it's certainly, you're like, wow, you know, sticks out. But once you get through it and I'll go through the P and L here in a second, you can see, you know, January, especially after some adjustments were made, that, you know, we are seeing positive cash flow on a monthly basis. You know, we're seeing our cash reserves go back up, right, month over month. And so things are trending as they should be, okay? And we also have the ESSER funds. I don't have that on here, but they are, I know Heather has about 200,000 at least that's gonna be coming in from grants between now and the end of the year. So those are, you know, obviously all expenses that we've had to front load. We should be getting reimbursed from that standpoint. So let me just pull up the January P and L. We can look at that real quick. So you can see my screen still here. This is just a snapshot of January. We have our, yeah, sure. How's that? Okay. Top line, obviously, you know, we have income sources, $927,000. We go through from an expense standpoint. You know, it's really, you don't have anything to compare it to because I don't have it compared just to a month over month budget standpoint. But obviously we go to the bottom and we have an, you know, income of $31,000 for the month of January. So that is certainly.
I know.
It's better than red.
The thing is, we're confident in that data that's in there for January. We do know that our budget is relatively simple in the sense that, you know, there's not huge variations in the month over month, right? So that's why we feel good about that, the net income there. The other thing we've done is the advantage we have of Building Hope, and I think it's worked out very nicely in the sense that, you know, you have Heather here in the day-to-day aware of the operations, aware of what's coming in and out, and then we have Building Hope supporting us from all the coding and the back office work along with Lily, the team. And so the reporting is like, we don't have to do anything. They generate these reports for us, which is nice. Like Heather and I aren't preparing these reports. I mean, they email to us. So that's a huge asset. And so from that standpoint, we asked for a couple key metrics on obviously what we're great on around our cash reserve requirements, as well as our debt service coverage ratios and our cash on hand, the days cash on hand requirement, which is the one that's critical. And so they've now included this reporting with us. So we asked that we see this on a monthly basis so that I can look at it or Heather can look at it and see, you know, where we're trending monthly. And so obviously January being the first month that we're getting the data clean, you know, days cash on hand, 18, not where we want it to be. But the key here is that if you look at this daily operating expense of $21,791, you can get an idea, right? You know, this is just the budget extrapolate out 365 days, right? So that's your daily operating expense for the school. And so you're just taking that and dividing by that cash on hand to give you the 18 days cash on hand.
AJ, what's the goal there?
So the goal by June 30th is 45 days.
1.7,
Requirement. Right?
That's the
1.3 million.
Okay, so I do have the exact for that.
About
I couldn't figure out how to get the exact thing, so I kept asking, and so finally Dana worked with Richard and they gave me like a breakdown. So to meet our 45 days on June 30th, we have to have 1.146. So that's where we have to be on June 30th. It's about 25.5 a day. So how they have it is you take your daily budget and then you minus your debt service. It's like all of this formula, but I finally figured out now how to do it. So we can see what that looks like. But yes, Building Hope's gonna do that. And just so people are not in a panic, because she said, I need you to get some sleep because I was stressing. She took what we had in the bank, what we needed for reimbursements and what we get from CASA. And we would be right at 928,000. And then she said, whatever we're saving each month. So we're gonna be really close to meeting it if we can stay on track and nothing big happens.
It's gonna be close, and let
Yeah.
me jump ahead a little bit,
Mhm.
and we were on the call with Moody's and, where, obviously Moody's is in charge of our bond rating,
Mhm.
which with how we get, positioned to the investors that hold our bonds. And very good call, Heather had a very good presentation, Building Hope jumped in there and talked, and they just want to understand what's going on. And, I feel good that if we can tell the story and show the metrics month over month and where we were and where we're heading to and the reasons why. It's a committee-based approach that they'll take what we then present to them, when we have that update call and, and make a decision. So.
So is the 30,000 of positive cash flow in January what you expect? Is that what you're expecting on that recurring
Yeah,
basis?
I mean, we actually should start to see a little bit more now that we've moved over out of ADP.
Okay.
I know it's gonna be a little bit jumbled because half of February was ADP, the other half, those kind of things. So I think it'll be March or April before we see a true trend. But yeah. So as long as knock on wood, nothing big breaks, or it should be.
And then for the OCPS portion of it, because they were looking to have 3%, is that what they were looking for in reserve?
And, Heather put a very nice action plan together on that, and we've already, from whatever snapshot they took that, we didn't, but if you look at it now, we have that. And
Yeah.
a lot of that was due as well to receiving some of the funds.
Yeah.
So I don't, that's not important, but I think that it's managed at this point.
Yeah.
So is that this 4.21% here
Correct.
at the bottom?
Correct.
That would be, that's what they're looking at,
Okay.
Yeah.
3%.
Yeah, and so, when we calculated that up by the end, so end of this school year, we'll have 2.75% in reserve that they mandate. But it's still okay because we're gonna hopefully meet the days cash on hand, and then we will project a 5%, so 3% mandate, 2% in case something breaks for the next school year. So I think.
June 30th.
So, well, theirs is month to month, but yet we can show that we're doing a positive, upward trend for that.
For a bond is June 30th.
Yes,
School year.
June 30th.
Yeah.
yeah.
And what are the repercussions if we don't have 45 days cash on hand by that date?
They could downgrade our bond rating, which,
They did last year.
yeah, they could put us into like extended probation, they could downgrade our bond rating.
That wouldn't really affect us financially
cause it to make
speaking.
sense.
It just
Yeah,
is,
for sure.
they're putting more people on to monitor and
It's just more work.
it's more work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just go,
Yeah.
like they may
Yeah.
have a new me coming in, they
Yeah.
said.
No, and they asked for an action plan, but we said we already had one, we presented it to them,
Yeah.
we're well ahead of the game with Building Hope. That's where they did a good job coming in, is they get on that call and they.
Mhm.
And the goal was originally 30.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So-
that's more of a doable piece,
Right.
but we had to move to 45 because of that,
Because of
the,
last year.
because of last year.
Got it.
Then there
Yeah.
were the requirements that move us to, when's the date on the 60? That
I
it
think
goes,
it's the next.
the
school year.
following year it goes to
And then I
60.
think it stays there.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Lot
no
of cash
school
on
has
hand.
60 days cash on
Well,
hand.
that was my
That's
question
crazy.
to everybody.
That's where it's like, this is not, we're not a corporation per
No,
se,
right.
we're not a profit-based company. We're not gonna have 60 days
Yeah.
on hand. It's just not how
So
schools
much
are run. If we're
cheaper.
doing that, then we're not serving our students. because we've got too much money
Right.
that we're not supporting our kids.
That's where I'm
Right.
struggling.
Is that negotiable?
I don't know. That was part of the original bond. I heard Brett ask that question. It was part of the original bond.
The 60 days, that escalator was there in, was it year 4?
Because I asked that, like, why would we put that in? You know what I mean? Not
Yeah,
to try, and maybe
I
that's a requirement, but I'm just thinking, why would we do that?
Yeah.
Who did
you know,
that?
like,
Oh.
but you know, if you go back to, and Jeremy brought this up, and I remember this, if you go back to 2-3 years ago, you know, we were running 12-13%.
Yeah.
And that's where that 60 days, you know,
Yeah.
will bring us to the cash reserves. And I think,
Yeah.
you know, at the end of the day, we have, yes, it's gonna be a little bit of a struggle to get there and it's gonna be tricky, but we have 2 facilities we have to maintain.
Yeah.
You know, we have capital outlays that we need to put a capital plan together to budget for and
Mhm.
things that we need to
Mhm.
not be having these type of conversations.
Right.
Right.
So
Yeah, we
I
still
say
need
we
to-
get there, and obviously we're gonna have to get there, but we will get there and we'll reevaluate.
Yeah.
Because there are things after meeting with Tito today that we're gonna have to look at for this building. It's starting to get the wear and tear
Right,
of
yeah.
things that we, for some reason, commodes seem to be the ticket. And so, you know, like it's just one thing after, you know. So that's why I also want to have that extra money, is we know things are gonna
Yeah.
have to start.
I mean, Heather, I know you've learned a lot in your short time here about this whole
Mhm.
situation, but is there a opportunity for us to do a bit of a just retrospective on maybe looking back at the last couple of years of financials to, not to point blame or anything like that, but just to make sure that we're updating our policies or
Mhm.
guidance to make sure that we don't, you know, get in
Yeah.
a situation like that again, because I
Absolutely.
think to your point, we were running pretty significant reserves for a number of years and
That's comfortable.
I don't know if we just got too comfortable and, you know, with all of the extra money, just got way out in
On the
front of
growth.
ourselves, with
Right.
all that, but like,
The 2 things I would say is, because I thought about that a lot, is,
yeah,
you know, any organization you have creep, and I think with that any adding of a full-time position or even part-time position should be approved by the board at this point, moving forward, because there were positions added, that, you know, probably maybe I don't recall, but, you know, did we have an approval of that additional salary, you know, and how?
Well, they were grant positions.
They were, but you know,
And-
how is that
yeah.
discussion, right?
Yeah.
You know, and I think that, you know, what's the long-term effect of that? So I
Right.
think that would be number 1.
Yeah.
And then I think,
I'd
number-
say maybe if it's any like non-budgeted positions.
yeah, of
right?
course, like
Yeah.
you're when I say you're adding an
Adding
additional
headcount.
FTE,
Yeah.
Had new
a
headcount.
new headcount, you
Yeah.
know, that has to be approved.
Yeah.
And then I would say number 2 is being able to look at, and it's gonna be tough for this past year, but looking at expenses year over year and understanding what the percentage increases are on those expenses to avoid that creep. We know typically 2 to 3%, just, you know, baseline, but where are we seeing, you know, 10, 15% increases and why, and understanding that. I think, again, we went from, you know, here to here from a
Yeah.
size, so I
Yeah.
think that now we have the firepower to be able to do that. Whereas, you know, before we were doing a great job, but it's just a different system.
Well, and I hopefully now we've got it professionally managed, a financial, you know, professionally run financial management, whereas in the past it was one person that was,
Yeah.
you know.
And
that was a lot.
policies and.
To
are
take
they
on all that
fully
growth and
based on,
manage all that was.
You know, speak to
probably-
kind of what Heather's already done, right? Like, there's so many more
Yeah,
policies.
yeah, I mean, it's just a different dynamic. There's a lot of moving parts. It's good money, you know, it's a decent sized budget, and so we have,
So the other question too around like the with Building Hope and what we're paying them annually, I know that was more than what we had ever budgeted for that full-time position. Like, do we feel like we can manage that cost as part of the operation?
Yeah,
budget?
I would
Expect
say
that.
we would need to stay with them at least another year, and we're not ready for that yet.
Yeah.
And that is not to take away from, the team here at all.
Yeah,
But to be fair, with this size organization, you would need a business manager, and then you would need Lily's position, and then the HR, you know what I mean? And so when you go back to, you think you ran with a one-man show,
Yeah.
and that was not a,
Yeah.
you know,
That's
but
wonderful.
and you grew so fast. I also think, to answer your thing about board approval, yes, anytime new positions should go through the board, it should not just be on like my call.
Yeah.
But any grant that we go into, we have to have what is our plan after the grant? So I
Yeah.
think that was the biggest
For sure.
mistake, was we hired all of these, but didn't have a plan to say, how do we carry that on in 3 years?
Yeah.
And so unfortunately, that's just part of it. And then there'll be systems. So we're gonna streamline all of the hiring system is gonna be streamlined. The final approval on a person I will click the button once we have all the paper, you know what I mean? Those kind of
Yeah.
things.
Mhm.
And again, it's not that I don't love my admin, but my job is this. And so making sure that we stay over the whole organization.
Do you see a time where we don't need building hope services?
My goal is not to always have them, to be honest with you. I mean, my goal would be to have it in-house, but to be honest, we're not paying them much more than what the previous
I
person
don't-
was making.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
what's the? Awesome.
9,000, I think.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mhm.
you know, there's. A business has to do what they do, you know, very well in-house.
Mhm.
And a business has to be okay with outsourcing what they don't.
Mhm.
You know, not saying that we couldn't do it well, but is the time and energy for that cost better spent elsewhere?
Yeah.
From my vantage point, I mean, if I had to do this like we had it before, like with preparing all, honestly, I can't do this. You know,
Yeah.
I
Such
can't-
a isolated
Yeah.
knowledge base,
Mhm.
right? Like with the charter school piece and the financial piece, so
They're
it's just
comparing
like,
across all data
yeah,
sets.
you
Yeah.
just don't get that
Well,
expertise.
And again, because you have somebody that has to do the whole overall organization, but then I have to have Lily to do the day-to-day.
Yeah.
So she's the ones getting all the bills, she's the ones putting all the bills in, and then our secretaries are doing all the POs. So Building Hope has been great, but I still have people here that are doing all the legwork. They're putting the reports together.
Yeah.
They're paying the bills when we tell them to hit the button. But here, so what you would have to have is her doing that, and then the person over here doing all the reporting.
Mhm.
So we're just not there yet.
Yeah.
We're not ready for that, to take that on, and we have to find the right person.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, Building Hope is our experts, because
Yeah.
they understand the school side of things and the charter side of things, where a lot of business people don't.
And you can't build a position around a person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you hold that person accountable if they're not next? to you?
Yes,
Yeah.
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 They're gone.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I think, I do think systems is our biggest thing, like we didn't have those checks and balances that you should be checking on me, I should be checking on the next, all the way up and down. Even on ordering classroom supplies, like there should be a check and balance, and not just, I think we just got so relaxed on spending. It's easy to use that debit card,
Mhm.
so we have to really watch that.
So any other questions on that?
There's one other question, I think, on the metrics, the debt service ratio, that needs to be at what level for the covenant?
1.1.
Yeah. 1 to
1.1, right?
Yeah.
And we're at 0.8 something now.
0.83.
And do we think we'll meet that requirement by June? Does that go hand in hand with the cash on hand and reserves? As those meet their objectives, should we get back to 1.1?
Yeah, so, we met it last year and we didn't meet the days cash on hand. We met the debt service ratio.
What's holding us back from that now?
So that's the actual, that's more on the income side,
Yeah,
and the income hasn't been as much of a problem as it was the expense side for us for a while.
Mm.
So what's holding us back right now, we're missing those ESSER funds, they're gonna come in as income.
Yeah.
You know, if you have 1.2 million there and then you tack on another 200,000 to 300,000 on that. You know, that's gonna, plus any other monies that come in, that's gonna get you right at that 1.5 to 2.
And actually, Alicia just pointed out a great point about using the outside agency too. Right now, when one person leaves, they take all of their knowledge with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas by having Building Hope, it's a 5-man team,
100%.
so one can leave and, so that's hard.
Then, so last thing, retirement plan update. So we've transitioned off the ADP bundle platform. We had a bundled 401k which was tied into that platform. So we've been in the process of setting up a 401k with the same company, Voya, but it's technically a new plan. And so we're close to signing those documents. We've gone through the plan provisions. We've hired what's called a TPA. It's a third-party administrator. What that does is it keeps you out of trouble in the 401k space. Because we also have the 403B and the 457 plan. Okay. And so we've had a lot of conversations just to give you a little background, the reason this is probably a comfortable area for me is we run about 77 of these plans in our business, but for, dental practices, a little different on this side, but actually it's much less complicated because it's just a straight match and, employee contributions and everything like that. So the point of this is we have 3 plans. I'm not sure how we ended up with 3 plans or why. I'm sure there was a reason behind it at some point, right? With, we started the 457, which is what's called a non-ERISA plan. So it's very easy to start up any entry period at any time. And then we tacked on the 403B and the 401k, but we're looking to streamline this and have that one 401k that the match goes into, that the employees can of course enroll in. We are considering sunsetting the 403B and the 457 by the end of the year. Okay, because the problem with those 2 plans is the way they're currently set up, it's very manual. All right, whether it's the contributions or the match, there's nothing automated about it. It's a very legacy type product that you would that is only typically in the education space.
Are
So
many people in those plans?
what's that?
Are many people?
There are a lot of
in those
people
plans?
and so we haven't made a decision on that yet, but nothing will change. Everyone would still have the product that they have. Okay, the just contributions might be phased out of that plan. And if they wanted contributions, there'll be a similar type structure lineup inside the 401k.
It would just roll over.
And
to
then
that.
Can they roll from the 403 or the 457?
they cannot because these are annuity type products. So these are what's called fixed products that have surrender periods. Okay, and so if they're within that surrender period, you can't take dollars out of it. Okay, so it's not like they're going to lose it. The product's still going to be there. You can still put dollars in it. Outside of the school plan, nothing's changing there. It's just there's going to be a different vehicle potentially to put those dollars in. So the advantage we're going to have this time now is there's an advisor who's actually compensated on the 401k who's going to come out and service the team. Okay, and he's not compensated by the products he sells to the team. He's compensated by the service that he gives and the dollars that come into the plan. So it's a more fiduciary-esque environment. It's better for the plan participants. So, and he will educate them on the options. So we haven't decided on that. We still have to finalize that. But we're just trying to make it easy for the teachers and, the staff to understand what the options are and to have them be first rate for them too. We want them to be, cost efficient, best of the best, long-term type products for the team. So.
That's great.
Yeah, and so what we're trying to do now is I'm trying to get ADP to respond with our current 401k, because even though it's Voya, it's still attached to them to ensure that right now during the blackout period, our staff is still getting their money with interest, those kind of things. Still struggling with them.
Well, let me just clarify, just to make sure. So all of the monies that are in the old plan are still invested as they are, just to make sure.
Yeah, sorry, I don't want to take it the wrong way.
Yeah, it's just getting the contributions in that are still running
Yeah.
into the old plan until the new plan is up and live. And I know Voya has said that, or we can.
So I have a meeting with them on Thursday at 1:00. I was hoping, I think it was Ross and I spoke yesterday with ADP, not ADP, the Voya that we're moving into. We were hoping ADP would respond and just give us those directions, but they have not yet. So if not, he will share with us a different way on Thursday for that. So.
And that's where we have an advisor on the plan now, so he
So that's helping
just has
us.
to earn his money.
Yeah,
And the staff will be able to go to him with questions.
Exactly.
yes.
Yep, they'll have Voya and him.
Good.
So it's been helpful. The last thing, finance, I sent to you all the bids for, we had, you're supposed to put out bids for an auditor each year. And we're actually using Building Hope as the vehicle to get that out. Not necessarily, they won't advise us on who to pick or anything like that, but hey, here's the process for that. And so they put it out on their statewide system that these bids go out on. We had 3 to come in. I sent those to you. However, one was price. I did clarify with him because I noticed he only mentioned IMO. He didn't mention CASA. And so he did come back and say, oh, I didn't realize, can I resubmit? So talking to Building Hope, they said that was allowed. And so what I would say is his costs are gonna double. Did I not, I thought I emailed that to
I
you.
don't see.
I don't, yeah.
You just send it to me.
Oh,
And-
did I? I'm sorry.
Here, I'm sending it to the board.
I thought I was gonna say everybody. I apologize.
There you go.
Um,
Refresh.
so just kind of wanted you all to talk through that with you. I did just say, okay, to, his name is Kevin with Building Hope as kind of our lead over our accounts and stuff. And just said, give me some background, like what would be great, what should I look for, what should I not? There's a rubric that we have. And he said, again, I'm not going to tell you who, but he said, I was astounded by these numbers, that they have never been this high before. And so he said, you know, definitely knowing our financial situation, that he would look at that. But he said, to make us feel better, all of them are coming in higher this year. So it must just be a statewide thing that they're all coming in a little higher. And so he said he would definitely look
here
at
we
the
go.
costs, that all 3 are, you know, good. Like he's worked with all 3 companies. So he's like, I really don't want to tell you one way or another, but he said, you know, I would definitely look at the costs.
We budgeted for these though. to some
Yeah,
degree,
but
right?
we've only, but we did not budget as
Budget.
much as they came in at.
Okay.
Yeah,
How much did we budget?
17. And so we typically, that's about what we've paid each year.
Yeah, it's still based on previous year actuals.
Yes. And honestly, the last couple years.
So, and is the price an associate, is he gonna send us back?
Yes, he said he would get us a new one.
So I would,
I would say his, more than likely, if I'm
Yeah,
betting,
he's
he would
gonna
just
come.
double.
he'll come in
Yeah.
cheaper.
And what are they coming in? I hadn't opened it. So we budgeted 17 and they're,
We have like 34,
wow,
32,
Holy cow.
yeah. Yeah.
What's driving that?
that's crazy.
Just to. How did they generate what did they base the quotes on? Like, what data did they get? Did Building
So
Hope send
there's
them
a,
data?
no,
Or did
so
we
there's
fill
a
it out?
form that we had, Building Hope helped me fill that out, but we only give them certain information. So we say, how many organizations would you file on? So we have 2, because our high school, we used to have 3, but it's merged to one charter. Do they fill out the 990s? Our bond paperwork. So we would put in what our requirement is. Then they had the opportunity to ask questions. And so some ask questions like, could you send us your previous audit? So I sent that. So, and I guess they took that information and then put their quote together. So when I asked Kevin why, if he's seeing it across the state, he said, because the number of auditors have decreased. So a lot of them are merging. They were independent before, and now they're going into larger organizations. So now there's like 112 for the state. And so he said that's why he thinks they're ramping their prices up. He said, now this is the highest he's seen them come in. He's like, but they're very similar to what his other schools are coming in. And the funny thing is, the 3 that like bid for ours, he made on another school, none of those 3 bid. So it was funny, and it was open for 30 days. So they had, it wasn't like it was a short turnaround.
So the firm that did it last year did not bid
Mm.
this year.
I would see what price looks
Yeah.
to be the smallest shop, so I would see
Mhm.
Not a small shop, not a bad thing, but sometimes they have some more flexibility in their pricing than.
And is the quote, like, what is actually gonna be paid out? Like, is that like spot on, or is there gonna be
Fixed
variance?
fee or? is it
Yeah, like, is there, like, once they actually look at what they're gonna be doing and what they can bill on us?
or just an estimate?
Right,
Like,
so,
Could it go
It
down?
says- It says estimates.
so if you look
All
like, so
inclusive maximum
MKA,
price
if you read to the bottom, it will say these proposed fixed fees are
No, fixed
is
fee.
32,500.
Yeah, this is
Well, the
fixed-
one
this is
from-
fixed fee.
One I'm looking at says all inclusive maximum
Maximum,
price
yeah.
proposal. And then it said these estimates are based on our analysis.
Mhm.
If significant additional time is necessary, we will discuss it with you and arrive at new fee estimate. So
Mhm.
I mean, double price is still 10 grand less than the most expensive other one.
who did it last year
Tom Schroop.
when they're not available? Gone. We don't want them.
What I didn't put in.
They always done.
Um, so yeah. So his like I said, his recommendation was to look at price or look at the price and then to go back and like I said, Price did come back and say, yes, we're sorry, we didn't read that part. Can we put in again? And he said he's worked with that company and that,
Yeah.
the thing is, some of them are very picky and, but we are gonna have to explain to them too, though, like the changeover in our systems, because that's gonna look a little different,
Yeah.
but,
Well, that might cause an increase billing too,
mhm,
so.
Are they gonna be working with Building Hope at all for
So
this
that-
process?
that's who they will work with.
Yeah, so I mean, like, they're getting a lot of the work done for them though, because of that, so
Yeah.
I
I think
feel like,
it would
Yeah.
streamline.
It
some
would-
of this
yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah,
so
So yeah, I guess that'd be only like,
that would be a
That's the
bargaining
new
chip on our end. at least.
KJD has an all-inclusive maximum price. And then,
You get
and-
spot treatments with that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and MKA, says fees for any additional services will be billed on a discount average billing rate of 125.
he would indicate, that would be the one that he wouldn't, probably not, if he had to select.
Mhm.
Which one?
Okay.
Would not be the one?
Yeah,
So,
just
yeah.
because he looked at their pricing and stuff like that, and he would say that. that
Yeah.
would be-
Yeah, so,
He just said, you don't have the extra money floating around to,
Yeah,
Mhm.
for an audit.
no. Yeah. We need the best.
well, we
idea.
can always, have if it's, see the quote from Price and
Mhm.
talk to them and then go back to say, hey,
I would-
contingent on the results are, obviously good or not
Mhm.
good, but, accurate, could we, if we signed a 2 or 3 year contract, would that help our
Mhm.
pricing? Would be
Yeah.
Something. to
That's a good idea.
consider too.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
honestly,
take-
at this point, if they would just make a fixed price, because I have a feeling it's
Yeah, like
always
say,
gonna
hey,
go
we're not
up.
going anywhere, we got this, we
Yeah.
have to, bond we have to deal with every year.
Mhm.
I guess it's just a question of what's driving the cost. Is it, just the resource that's on it, the number of people? I mean, it seems like they've got teams of people working on this, so is it
Yeah,
coming from the staffing? Is it coming from the, I
Mhm.
don't know, maybe that's worth a question.
Yeah.
Just to see if there's something that could be brought down, negotiate a little
Yeah.
bit.
so there is a rubric, and he indicated he would help me fill that out, like how we, he said, but a large portion of that is pricing, so he's like, if we chose somebody that was higher priced, then we would have to explain why we did that, like what was,
Mhm.
there had to be something else, like you got a bump if you did it the year prior, those kind of things, and so he said that would be the only thing to look at.
Just keep me updated.
I will. So hopefully, the way Price talked, yesterday, that he would have it to me this week, and so, I'm hoping to have all this squared away, because I will be on a cruise next week and have limited access, but I'm hoping to have all that squared away so we can get it rolling. Because I want to talk to them about, and I've been talking to Kevin and then he talked to Richard. I would like to see about us merging our CASA and our regular program together on all of our finances, which we kind of already do, but banking everything, and then us being able to code it in-house, because it's really cumbersome right now that we turn around and we bill CASA and invoice to pull money because we pay their payroll. And so first Kevin thought maybe it was something with the bond and not, but he said he talked to Richard and said that we could. So that is something I'd like to tackle as well. Once we get this settled, is to meet with Richard and say, why,
Can that be something that we just, once you find that out,
Yeah.
just go to Wells Fargo and make
I
happen?
but I think we'll have to do some kind of record keeping for
Yeah.
it too, because we're a nonprofit and they are not, you know what I mean?
That
So
might be the-
what that
Yeah.
looks like, what's
Yeah.
the advantage and disadvantage of doing that? So that's the only reason I want to make sure that we don't mess, if there's a reason why we don't.
Yeah.
That's
Son-
WKJD.
Well, that was the other thing. They were like, an auditor can also, if you have a good auditor, you can ask some of those questions for it.
Yeah.
So. So I just kind of wanted you all to know, right now, probably my main factor will be cost. And unless there's something red flag, but AJ, I'll stay in contact with you just so we're on the same page with that. That's it for me.
All right. Well, thank you, AJ. Thank you, Heather.
And then just text us when you need to get that special session set up. and
I will.
we'll Put it out.
All right. So next is the PTO update, and I will read Sarah's email. 1 second.
And while you're pulling that up, I want to say, I went to the art festival. I left that off. It was phenomenal. Like, it was so good and just creative, and the community participation. It was just so nice to see. So PTO did a phenomenal job. All of the staff that helped and parents, it was great.
It was
It's a
awesome.
good time.
All right. So the first is the Arts Festival, a heartfelt thank you. We wanted to extend our sincerest thanks to all the parents, teachers, sponsors, and volunteers that came out last Saturday and made our event a success. It was so wonderful watching our students perform and to enjoy the beauty of our campus. Next, the PTO meeting is on April 2nd on Google Meetings. Join us and meet our newest PTO applicants. Voting will be held during the May meeting. Bake Off and Rummage Sale rescheduled date is April 13th, noon till 2 p.m. Get ready for some tasty samples of from IMO bakers. Save the date for the end of year Island H2O Innovation Montessori Party. We will receive group discounted tickets for $27 that can be used to go towards the purchase of an annual pass. For every 12 tickets sold, we will get 1 ticket that can be used for families in need. All right, and then open PTO positions for the 24-25 school year. Are you looking to get more involved in the school? Do you love making new friends and giving back to the wonderful community? Then look no further than the PTO team. They are looking for new members and chairs, as our outgoing chairs have reached the end of their term limits. And she has a very long list of open positions, including president, vice president, treasurer, secretary, store chair, webmaster, store master, membership chair. Yeah, she did her 2 years.
What are the PTO terms?
2 years.
2
yeah.
years, okay.
Can't extend that like we do on the board.
Kristen, you're gonna have some free time. after this. You gotta-
You're an alumni, aren't you?
Oh, no.
Events chair, festivals chair, fundraising, social media, room parent chair, gardening co-chair.
Wow.
Just about everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Casa parents, let's go.
Yeah.
Cycle that, like not everybody goes through
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah.
So someone has expressed interest and will, oh, wait, hold on. Okay, all the ones, okay, so I didn't see this asterisk. So
Oh, good.
the president, vice president, treasurer, store chair, webmaster, store master, membership chair people have expressed interest.
Okay.
And will introduce themselves during our April meeting, and voting will take place during our May meeting.
Okay.
Send your resume or email expressing interest to info@ptoowls.com. All right. We also have, sorry, we also have IMHS and middle school team leads and chairs as well. Thank you to Sarah for that
Yeah.
update.
Thank you.
And don't forget to the art, the musical.
Oh, Mean Girls.
Yeah, it's coming up.
And tickets are on sale.
Yeah.
Tickets are now on
I
sale.
think it's
Weekend in
6th and
February.
7th, Yeah,
Okay.
6th and 7th.
May or
April.
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 Mhm.
All right. So that takes us to committee updates. Do we have any? It says review our board goals and progress before that. Any?
Great succession planning. effort.
Yay, yay. I feel like we have, we're checking back with them.
Yay. And I know Kate has completed her training,
Yeah.
so she is official here with that. I know getting in touch with Scott and getting him engaged, so. More to go there, but.
Yeah, no, it looks good. I think we're on track. Might have to. Do we have to, we have
about you?
more? Do we have?
What about you?
What is my succession
What's
plan?
your sorry.
And
Still
10
got
years.
fresh,
what-
still got fresh legs in this role.
Started.
You got fresh legs in this role. What are you talking about?
Fresh leg, 5 years? is
You know,
fresh legs.
You're just getting started.
Yeah.
Come on.
Construction.
Oh, yeah, I did construction. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, and then the construction didn't happen. A lot of architecture meetings for me, a lot. Yeah. Yeah, reach out if you're interested in other potential roles on the board. We still have a lot of veterans that will need some space in the coming year.
Yes, that is a good point. We
Yeah.
accept resumes
At
anytime.
any time, yeah, anytime
There's no formal period.
no,
submit.
no.
Didn't we have somebody else that had expressed interest a month or two ago?
We did.
But they
That-
declined.
Did that they pull back on
That
it?
was a no, yeah,
Mhm.
so. yeah, Didn't get a response on that. And then, yeah, we did have.
I
another
was scheduled to
person.
meet with her, but
Yeah,
she
yeah.
canceled before saying that she.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right,
I thought
yeah.
there was a.
Oh, yeah,
There was a gentleman who reached
Yeah,
out
like-
and I had pinged him again on email, but.
That's some interesting experience. In a charter school or on.
Yeah,
board or
yeah.
something like that before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I just didn't hear anything back, so I followed up a couple times, said, hey, you wanna get together and chat?
Yeah.
So,
I post on, LinkedIn again, just because I have a lot of, like, just might be good for us to post it there as well as like potential opportunity.
we can do another call, out for interest,
Yeah.
How many
before
more do
end
you
of
want
Yeah.
to get on the board though?
Well, what do we have now? Do we
We have
have
8.
that
We have
we're-
8, Penn and Kristen's.
Yeah,
and
Oh, yeah,
the
that's
partner,
true.
so.
Okay.
so
And
7
are you done this year,
next year.
next year? When am I done? Next year?
So yeah, this will be 9 years.
10 more years?
I did 9, like.
Like every term, it's
Yeah.
9.
Yeah.
Okay,
Ten
nine
more
more
years.
years.
Yeah, I just read the bylaws last.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have the fresh one that knows everything over here.
And how many years have you been on?
5?
5? Oh,
Yeah.
you're still, you have plenty of time.
Yeah, so, all right, yeah, let's.
Do you wanna do
Yeah,
another push for marketing?
Let's do another push for marketing. We'll just put it on our own individual LinkedIn pieces and share it out that way. And
Yeah, I mean, I found interest in it last time I posted.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I don't know how it's working out so far.
yeah.
Could we be
Found a candidate that
Yeah,
I thought was gonna be really good.
Mhm.
could we be more, I guess, intentional with like new parents? I'm just thinking like, we kind of had flyers like when it came to meet the teacher,
Yeah.
which that is the focus when they come meet the teacher, but
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
if there's a little spiel.
Well, we could post it on the Facebook pages too. So like
Yeah.
on the school Facebook page too, we could put it there.
Yeah, And we probably do need to update. I don't know, maybe that's what you were guys
Yeah,
were
she,
talking about.
yeah, that's what she did update it.
Oh, okay.
Marissa did update it.
Thank you, Marissa.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
Not
welcome.
secretary.
I was watching the conversation, I'm pretty sure.
But I saw Kristen's head.
I'm like,
Yeah.
still clicking in there thinking. "That's right."
Oh, goodness. Yeah, I think we need to do another just media push up there for sure.
Yeah, I can help with a little bit of that. no problem.
Okay. We get something together, then I'll share it out on LinkedIn and Facebook and all the different places. But I think too, if we share it, like we probably do have some family members who might, want to be part of it, so.
I think now is the time before
Yeah,
it gets too close to the end of the year.
yeah, I
Gonna
think
have
once
to
we
hold
wait,
again until
yeah,
the fall.
exactly,
So, yeah.
exactly. Yeah, so I think we're good to just continue to move on. This is your annual giving flyer draft here.
Oh, okay. Yep. So I can talk about fundraising. All right. So we did have a Blitz fundraiser for the conference, and we raised just over
Mhm.
$2,000.
Mhm.
So we talked about kind of like best practices of what happens whenever you're trying to hold on to people who donate. So we're gonna send that group of people, because they did average giving about $70 a piece.
Yeah.
And so just like a thank you summary with pictures of the conference to
Mhm.
engage those people that are giving, to kind of grow that pool of people. The first development committee meeting met, and we now meet on the fourth Tuesday of the month. We mostly discussed the annual giving and re-energizing that, and so that's what's hyperlinked is the flyer. Some of the things that flyer now emphasizes is really pushing monthly donations, especially now, like, so the annual giving will, in my mind, go until Giving Tuesday again, so it is like a full year. And so the emphasis now on monthly donations, as well as like you'll see a section on how Montessori charter costs are different than a traditional public school. And then also trying to word like those two campaigns are really budget items, because that was a lot of feedback too of like how can we better tie this that we're helping the budget from some of the feedback. So some of the ideas was, like, I guess you kind of hinted at it from like the communication, the parents get a lot of electronic communication. So the committee talked about going back old school with flyers and putting it in the kids' backpacks, as well as utilizing safety patrol of, I don't know how I feel about that, but those are just some of the ideas to get the paper
I mean,
flyers.
if we're doing a quarterly flyer, I think that's fine. I mean,
Yeah.
even if you're just doing like a half sheet of paper,
Yeah.
right? Like, we don't send any paper home, so I know that that's something we've really worked hard to not do, but a half a sheet of paper
Yeah.
4 times a year.
Yeah, I
It's
don't care
fine.
about the paper as much as safety patrol.
Yeah, I would
going
rather
to
have the teacher just
cars.
putting it in their backpack.
That's
or
what
something,
Okay,
I'm just
put it,
okay.
like,
worried about.
All right, that's fair.
That risk.
That's why we wanted to know.
Like, I would rather
Okay.
them like hold a sign up, like
Okay.
on the edge, than them
That's
going
good
in and out of
feedback.
the, like, that's my fear.
Okay, yeah,
We could have.
kind of things we need to know.
Yeah,
Yeah, like I could,
Yeah, or we
we
can-
ran around in the car. lot.
Yeah.
we can pass it to the kids as they walk in.
Yeah.
and that was the same, so it's funny that you had that feedback, because that was one of the ideas was, because I talked about the annual giving and like how we just didn't get the response. However, we did go ahead and order some benches for the
Oh,
high school
Should get
because
some
we want.
pictures of those.
Yeah,
Mm,
so
mhm.
hopefully they'll get in soon, but is like if they saw the old school thermometer, like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
just a reminder. So they did talk about that too, like maybe reminding parents as they
Yeah.
fly.
Like a constant presence.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
You don't, we're not making a
Yeah.
really big deal about it. People aren't
Yeah.
gonna pay much attention to it.
Yeah. So,
Marissa,
Okay.
is the new meeting cadence gonna be 8 AM?
Oh, PM. Did I have AM?
Yeah, I was
On
excited.
the
for it.
school calendar.
The meeting invite you sent says fourth Tuesday, 8 AM to 9 AM effective
Oh, well, I need to check that because it's supposed to be
I
PM.
was excited. I was like, I can make 8 AM. 8 PM was the one that was like, I couldn't make the last one.
Okay, thank you for,
I can call in, but I'll be in my car.
okay. So, okay, so then we did have quite a discussion on bringing back the gala. Well, so we have Mr. Caleb on the team, and just to give you a background, before he went full into teaching, he fundraised for the Boy Scouts. And so he is all about the gala. He's like, that's how I made all my money with the Boy Scouts. So I think it's, good point. We just have to figure out how to construct the gala so it makes money. We did have a meeting with a school that's a Montessori charter school in Key West, tiny school, less than 100 kids. They fundraise like well over 100K. And so we were like, how does this school do this? And so their number one ticket item is a gala. They do not really count on the door. They break even. They go with low key venue. And so they make their money on raffles and just like layering live auctions during the gala. So they try and reduce their expenses. And so it's like not very like fancy
Right.
affair.
Not big overhead.
Yeah, and so the door covers the facility, and then they're making all the money on.
Do they call it a gala? They call it something different.
I think they call it a gala.
No,
but-
she called it a gala because I think,
Okay.
like you said, the requirement is every kid sells 20 tickets at $10 a piece.
Yep. Yeah, so they
Yeah,
do
It's
have,
pretty interesting, that
Raffle
requirement.
tickets?
Yeah,
Yes.
and they
For the raffle,
talked
right.
about going to the businesses and
right. So,
getting good prizes and.
so they have it like built into, like we have it in our school that each family has to give 20 hours a year,
Yeah.
right? They have that also built in, that each family has to sell 10 raffle tickets, which are $10 a $10 a ticket. And then they have
So you're getting
three,
$100 per child.
20 or
Just
10?
coming in.
it's 20.
Oh.
So if we did the same, we would go into our gala knowing that we made $100,000 if we
Yeah.
did the same model. And
Wow.
so, yeah, so it's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like, and it's, you don't have to be present to win. And so they're
Right.
selling it to, anybody, a friend or whatever. And then their top prize is like $1,000. It is $1,000,
Yeah.
but ours could be higher because we have a much bigger population.
Mhm.
And then they have like a hotel stay. They have 3 prizes, but you don't have to be present to win. So you can sell that to any person in the community, and they
Yeah.
just like have their name and number.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
said they
Perfect.
even set up
Mm-hmm.
like so that they may go to Publix and say to families, if you need help selling your tickets, we've asked Publix, we have a table there, your child can come and sell their tickets.
Okay.
And so they set that up for them,
Mhm.
but the family's responsible for getting them there.
Mhm.
And then the way she does it is she has a beginning of the year meeting where all of her staff is there. And so she'll introduce all of her staff and then tell all her teachers to sit down and say, see what's left. If you don't help support, they're not gonna be able to support your kids. And she was like, I'm just upfront with them to say, we don't get funded like everybody else. And so this is all of our support staff. They're not gonna be here. And she's like, I have it every year.
And
Who's the
they're
parent?
super,
Yeah, with the parents.
they're super transparent. They say their funding gap on their website,
Yeah.
and then they update it with like their fundraising.
Mm.
There was a few fundraisers that we haven't
I
talked
knew, I
about
knew.
yet.
She
We
did,
won't mention on
yeah, she
air.
had some Key West flavor to her
Yes.
fundraising.
Oh, yeah.
that
Like,
we
I was
would
like-
not.
I was
That's
like,
what I was
what?
thinking when you said, let's go lower key, like,
Uh-huh.
well, then you're like, you could have a fun theme. So
Yeah.
that's like,
Yeah,
would
no,
it be a
wait till you.
a
hear.
gala or
she-
would it be a
she-
theme?
That's the
Yeah.
festival they have in Key West.
Oh, yeah.
A
Yeah.
fantasy
Yeah.
fest,
Fantasy
yeah,
fest.
Yeah.
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 Have to deal with that.
Yeah, I was looking on the call, I kept looking at Marissa's face, but she was like, had her head down, I was like, what did you say? Some are just 21 and over.
Adult.
Yeah.
themed, let's
Yeah.
say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We're not there yet.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of what we've covered so far. And then from the grant committee, that is going to be your baby going forward, yes. But we did cover going after small community business grants that are all like coming due right now.
Yep.
In April. So Kate's gonna go after Dollar General grant, we got Amy going after Junior League's grant, we've got Selena going after Walmart's grant, and I'm going after TD Bank. So, yeah.
They're all due in 3 weeks.
wow.
We're back.
Awesome.
Yep. So any questions on that?
No, I think if we were to do the push for the board members piece, you might be able to do the push for gala event committee members too during that time period. Maybe we put that together.
Well,
Right?
and this too, the annual.
Yeah,
giving and,
yeah.
I mean, are we
Yeah,
sending
so
out some
I guess
messages
I'll
or-
kind of connect the dots there. So, as we figure out, as we kind of wrap on the annual giving, right, then we will kind of see, okay, who are our top donor families? And so, and I guess I'm talking for the professionals on the team. So Mr. Caleb is one of them, Marty's another one, where you want to engage those top donors and then bridge that to having them like be table hosts and invite
Yeah.
their peer group to the gala. So we're kind of trying to like, it's kind of all connecting.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And one of the things I want to do better with next year is tracking parent volunteer hours, because currently that has not been happening. And so she gave us some ideas of, instead of just volunteering where you want, is you sign up on a committee. And
Oh, I
then you're
really like
part
that
of that
idea.
committee, and then, so we have a
Yeah.
fundraising committee, then that fundraising committee would have, like, you'd have a lead, but then all of those hours would be tracked within that. And so, because I do think we've gotten really relaxed in the same parents are volunteering,
Yeah.
but we're not getting everybody.
Right.
And, you know, we don't ask for much. A couple had asked if we would take money instead of hours, but Kathy had indicated she kind of thought there was something that we couldn't do that because we're charter,
Yeah.
so, you know, that's something we can look into, but.
Oh, do you want to follow up to the school supply?
Mhm.
I know
Oh,
that you
yeah,
took
yeah,
action.
yes,
there was
yes.
Actions around.
So school supply fees, letters went out. Some people received letters that shouldn't have. And so, Stephen is working through that. It's just, I gotta look.
Oh.
But we had, I'm
You
sorry.
mailed it, like,
Yes, we
something-
mailed. I had a nice
Oh, I better
letter
find
written, and then Kevin told me that I had to change my letter to make it more past due looky. So I
Oh,
did
no.
change it, mailed the letters, and we probably.
I almost sent you another round of school supplies.
I
from
know,
that
I
You get one?
Yes.
Oh.
And so I'm like, I'm so sorry, because I just mail merged the address.
one.
Yeah.
I paid double the amount, because I paid in August, and then
Yeah.
I paid again in November.
Yeah.
And it just isn't registering.
So I think one of
For
the.
Lincoln, I think it's the second siblings issue.
Yes, I think it's that, and I think when we switched over,
Maybe.
in August, that we had that switch over to
Yeah.
everything, not everything merged.
Yeah.
So I was really frustrated, and Stephen goes, "It's okay, we will get this." So he has worked behind the scenes, and he was like, "It will be seamless next year." So he already has a system he's written
Good.
that we're gonna sit down and look at, that on July 1, how things are gonna be entered, what that
Right.
looks like and stuff. So luckily though, it's not been as many parents. I was afraid like, oh my gosh, we totally messed the whole list up, but luckily it hasn't been as many as I thought. So, we've only had a handful that said, here's my receipt, see, I'm sorry, and.
Has there been people that have paid twice? That means.
But he's just
I paid
crazy about
twice,
it.
yeah.
No, but like, I mean, there's probably plenty
Yeah.
of people, oh crap, I didn't pay that, pay it
I
again,
know.
but then we should be able to track and be like, hey.
Yeah.
Well, when I looked in
Everybody's
like
place.
November, because we got that note that we were like talking about, I'm like, oh, I think I paid, but I could never, like in school pay, I could never find where I paid. And,
Uh-huh.
but they changed the look of it. And so I was,
Yeah.
I could go in there easily and find, oh, here I paid on August 8th,
Mhm.
$200. Here I paid on November 27th, $200.
Yeah.
And so it was real easy this time. So
Yeah.
their system changed in that.
Right.
Because it didn't used to look like that.
Right.
And now it's different. So I think that was part of the issue.
I think so. I think the switch over. So
Yeah.
all I've been doing is as people say, hey, I've already paid, I'm like, I am so sorry.
Yeah.
They show me the receipt and we,
You're
but, trying to really have a better system, that we actually check off. And so I know, Lily and Stephen got together, kind of wrote, Brittany has done done a great job on her food service side, so she's given a lot of pointers like, hey, this has worked, this didn't work kind of thing. So we'll have it July 1, a system in place. We'll be able to take credit card payments. So we've already got that set up at the schools, but we'll have tables set up for that. And yes, we have been seeing people like, oh my goodness, I'm sorry, I forgot.
Yeah, we've
Okay.
gotten some in that
Yes,
have not paid.
yes.
So
So
that's
it has
good.
been a positive
Yeah.
for that.
Okay, so you got some result.
But we do need to kind of, and since we talked about school supply fees, we need to kind of talk about, are we keeping it at $100? Are we looking at raising it? You know, I feel both ways. We're struggling to get $100 from a lot of people, but I also see the added expenses of things going up. And so, you know, do we look at having to raise that? One of the things parents suggested, which sounds great, is to show parents what you're getting for the $100. So that's what our flyer is going to look like. If you went to a public school, here's what you would have to pay.
It's like those
Every-
bundle boxes, right?
Right.
Like you show the bundle box for your
Mhm.
per student capita, and it's
Yeah.
like, here's your bundle box for $100. You can
Right.
See it.
So that's what, so if we put on there, like if you went to a public school, not only are you gonna bring in your own school supply fees, but here's every course at a secondary level, you're paying this amount,
Mhm.
technology fee, you're paying this amount. And then here's what you're getting. You're getting top of the line materials from us, the Montessori
Yeah.
materials, and
Yeah.
then all, you know, so I do
And you
think
don't have
we,
to go to Walmart.
right, right.
Or Target or anything.
So I think
Nowhere,
parents are
yeah.
not, even though I know it's a lot of money, $100 is a lot of money, but I don't think they're looking at what it could cost you if you went to
Even
another
when you're
school.
going to Walmart, you're gonna spend that.
Yeah.
Like on just like random stuff,
Yeah.
right? Like,
So we just need to talk about, you know, because we're getting ready to put out for the lottery of what it costs. Are we looking at keeping it $100 for one more year? Do we want to go to 125? Like what, you know?
I don't think there would be a lot of people out there that would have a question about us going to 125, given all of the conversation we have had.
yeah, we need to
about this
support this.
at
as
multiple
well.
board
Yeah,
meetings.
like,
But
Well-
is it gonna, there's gonna still be a breakage there, like there is today, like some people aren't gonna pay,
Yeah.
so.
Well,
If
that's
you
why
raise
this
it
is-
up to more people not pay, and you still get the same amount or
Right.
essentially a lower amount, because now it's gone up.
yeah, but
or-
the monitoring system was not in place.
Well, I
Next year,
think
the
that's- the
monitoring system
monitoring
will be
system
in
will be in
place,
place,
and
so-
so
Yeah.
first round report cards are not going home.
I
if-
think having
if that's
the
not paid.
consequences of it are. really
Yeah,
be
that's what
makes
I
it
think we
a
have to
bigger
do.
impact than-
Because we also
And
have to
4 to
look at,
1,
we've
you
already
know?
purchased 60 iPads,
Yeah.
you know, and we
Walk
want to
into any
continue
classroom.
that.
It's
Right.
expensive, what we
And
do.
then the insurance on those.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's an insurance fee on our computers that we're eating the cost of.
Mhm.
But as a kid, I can break it and nobody's saying, or I lose my cord and those cords cost. And so I don't think people look at those costs, that we just don't have, how many chargers have been lost that, you know, $13, $15 adds up every time.
Yeah.
So not that I want to put more, because I know people are struggling right now and I'm sorry, like I feel bad about that, but I also, all of our costs are going up.
Yeah,
And so that is something,
we've
you
been
know,
at 100 for a couple years now,
have you?
Yeah.
Okay.
right? Like,
Yeah.
So it's 75, I think.
That was
maybe in
like-
the last, I don't remember when, it was 75 at one point. And then it
maybe
went to
3 years
100,
ago.
2-3 years ago.
I feel
maybe.
like we've been at
Okay.
100 for a couple years,
Yeah.
at least 2.
So- And I know we're probably gonna get pushed back, but I really think we ought to look at, you know, at least 120, 125
Yeah.
to cover the expenses. Because the Allison Montessori materials alone
They're
are
expensive.
outrageous.
They are expensive, yeah. Yeah, I'm okay with a increase in price on that.
Okay.
I think that coupled with additional accountability, I think
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
net positive.
Yeah.
I think we will,
Yeah,
so.
okay.
I mean, we don't ask for materials all year round,
No,
long,
no.
really. So
No.
it's not like, even the teachers are providing, you know, like different boards for the kids on projects and stuff. Like, we really are not collecting, like, you're not having to run to Staples too often throughout
Right.
the school year for stuff.
Right. Is everybody okay with that? Okay. Then I will let them know to put that out in their lottery paperwork.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Cindy, we have the updated, welcome packet board document we're gonna send over to you. Just FYI.
Okay.
You have it. Marissa's done it. She's amazing.
All right, that brings us to Stacy, president updates, anything?
no, I think we've had a lot of good discussion tonight. It's, you know, focused on things of making growth and improvement, so I think we're still headed in the right direction. Appreciate everybody's just time and dedication to each individual role, committee, effort that they're putting in. Super excited to hear some of how the feedback goes with the Montessori conference piece and those share outs and the coaching that comes out of that. So I can't wait to kind of hear a little bit more about that, but I think that everybody is ready for spring break.
Yeah.
So I hope everybody has an amazing spring break. There's no school on Friday. Sometimes I forget that. Just a heads up, there's no school on Friday, so might want to think about that now.
Yeah.
But have a wonderful spring break, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.